Jim Nabors was born James Thurston Nabors on June 12, 1930, in the small city of Sylacauga, Alabama. He would go on to become one of the most beloved American entertainers of his era, known primarily for his role as Gomer Pyle on both The Andy Griffith Show and his own spin-off series, Gomer Pyle USMC. E.T. Jim Nabors was not merely an actor who played a clumsy yet genuine Marine. He also showcased a remarkable baritone singing voice, appeared as a guest in many popular television programs, performed in major films, and recorded dozens of albums. From his humble beginnings in Alabama to the bright lights of television, Jim Nabors forged a path that merged comedy, music, and wholesome entertainment in a way few others could replicate. He passed away on November 30, 2017, in Honolulu, Hawaii, leaving behind a legacy filled with warmth, family-friendly humor, and musical talent. Nabors was raised in a loving family in Alabama. Even while so young, he discovered that singing was both a source of joy and a natural gift. He took part in school events and performed whenever he could, but he also found fun in comedic impressions. Throughout his life, Nabors fostered a sense of comedic timing and a flair for entertaining others, which would become essential in his career. He later attended the University of Alabama, where he continued to develop his love for performance. During his college years, he sang in choirs and indulged in campus variety shows, an environment that seeded the future comedic persona that he would bring to life. After graduating from college, Nabors moved to New York and then to Chattanooga for work, and in time, he found himself in Los Angeles. There, he secured a position as a film cutter for NBC. In between shifts, Nabors showcased his talents in small clubs around town. He developed a unique cabaret act that combined comedic routines with surprising baritone renditions of various classics. He drew attention for his ability to contort his voice from a high-pitched country accent to a rich, captivating singing tone. His performances became a novelty among those on the local club circuit, and it was not long before word spread of his extraordinary range and enthusiastic stage presence. Nabors received his big break thanks to his performances at a Santa Monica nightclub called The Horn. Executives associated with Andy Griffith got wind of the talented newcomer, recognized that Nabors could flourish on television, and through their introduction, Nabors was eventually offered a spot on The Andy Griffith Show. He made his debut in 1963, bringing the character of Gomer Pyle to life. Gomer was originally intended as a one-episode role, but his enthusiastic portrayal of this kind-hearted, easily perplexed gas station attendant struck a chord with audiences. Gomer quickly grew in popularity, and Nabors became a permanent cast member. His exclamations of surprise and awe, such as Shazam and Golly, became signature catchphrases among fans of the show. His comedic interactions with Andy Griffith and Don Knotts added a new dimension to the series, allowing comedic tangents that maintained the show's homespun charm. By 1964, Nabors' star had ascended to such a point that CBS granted his character a spin-off series titled Gomer Pyle USMC. The premise saw Gomer enlisting in the United States Marine Corps, where he would regularly baffle his tough drill instructor, Gunnery Sergeant Vince Carter, played by Frank Sutton. The show had fun with Gomer's well-meaning nature played against the stoic discipline of military life. Gomer was neither rebellious nor cunning. He was guileless and sincere. Nabors' comedic skills, paired with the escalating exasperation of Sergeant Carter, formed the heart of the show's appeal. Gomer Pyle USMC enjoyed a thriving run from 1964 until 1969. During that period, Nabors also had multiple opportunities to showcase his singing voice, often dazzling friends and fans with ballads or patriotic songs. The show's combination of good-hearted humor and old-fashioned fun mirrored the broader shift in 1960s television from rural comedies to comedic escapism, and Nabors found himself front and center in that cultural moment. Though Nabors' comedic fame surpassed most expectations, he did not confine himself to that alone. In the late 1960s, capitalizing on his success, he launched the Jim Nabors Hour, a variation on the popular variety show format. This series ran from 1969 to 1971 and let Nabors combine his comedic flair with structured musical segments. He would deliver comedic sketches, frequently inviting well-known guest stars onto his show, and then break into song with his rich baritone. Audiences found joy in the unpredictability of seeing a comedic figure shift into a serious musical performer. The show garnered a loyal following, but as with many variety series of the era, changing tastes and rising production costs eventually led to its end. Nabors furthered his range by starring in The Lost Saucer, a mid-1970s children's show produced by Sid and Marty Krofft. Alongside the comedic actress Ruth Boozy, Nabors portrayed an android who, due to a malfunction, traveled through space and time with a human boy and his babysitter. While it did not rise to the same high popularity as Gomer Pyle USMC, The Lost Saucer demonstrated Nabors' willingness to step beyond the comedic roles that had already made him famous. He took risks, explored different corners of family entertainment, and showed that he was not solely reliant on Gomer Pyle to captivate an audience. Beyond television, Nabors ventured into film. He achieved his first appearance in a minor part in Ta Ki-her, She's Mine in 1963. During the 1970s and early 1980s, he made a series of appearances in motion pictures. Notably, he took on the character of Deputy Fred in the 1982 film The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Though the movie starred Burt Reynolds and Dolly Parton, Nabors' comedic charm and unforgettable voice made him a memorable supporting character. He also appeared as Lugs Harvey in the 1983 racing-themed comedy Stroker Ace, again alongside Burt Reynolds. In 1984, he had a cameo as Private Homer Lyle in Cannonball Run II, reuniting with some of the same comedic personalities from his other movie appearances. These projects reflected Hollywood's recognition that Nabors, with his instantly recognizable voice and sweet-natured comedic timing, could enhance a variety of films. Meanwhile, as a guest star, Nabors appeared on long-running programs like The Carol Burnett Show. He was a favorite of Burnett herself, who would kid that he was the good luck charm and regularly featured him in seasonal and annual episodes. Audiences loved the interplay between Burnett and Nabors, who carried the same wide-eyed sincerity that had endeared him to fans of Gomer Pyle. He also made guest appearances on The Love Boat and other popular series of the 70s and 80s. Choosing a life of less scandal than many other celebrities, Nabors connected well with viewers from all across the United States, something that was evident from his reception in any show he joined. A significant yet more personal aspect of Nabors' legacy was his singing voice. Over the course of his career, he recorded dozens of albums. His rendition of the song Back Home Again in Indiana became a tradition at the Indianapolis 500. From 1972 until 2014, with only a few exceptions, Nabors performed that song in front of thousands at the racing event. This annual performance elevated his status as not only a comedic icon, but also as an emblem of patriotic and communal spirit. He occasionally ventured into gospel and holiday-themed releases, which sold well among the demographic that adored his heartfelt approach to music. Even after many decades, his baritone tone remained strong, and the sincerity that he brought to each performance made him stand out in a music industry often dominated by pop hits and novelty acts. Though Nabors largely stayed out of the tabloids, focusing on performance and production, his personal life became a topic of public interest when he married his longtime partner Stan Cadwallader in 2013. The two had met in the 1970s, and Nabors' decision to legally formalize their relationship in Washington state drew attention to the fact that he had lived a very private life despite being such a recognizable public figure. Nonetheless, he continued to exude the same warmth and good humor in interviews about his personal life that he brought to his performances. In November 2017, Nabors died in his Honolulu home, surrounded by close friends and family. The announcement of his death brought tributes from fellow entertainers and from fans who had grown up watching him. He left behind a legacy that included one of the most iconic and gentle comedic personas on television, dozens of best-selling records, and a personal life that reflected kindness, humility, and quiet generosity. Below is a partial list of his notable appearances and career highlights, identified here without any special symbols. Filmography: Ta Ki-her She's Mine, 1963. Cameo appearance: The Best Little Whorehouse in Tex, A.S. 1982. Portrayed Deputy Fred Stroker, Ace 1983. portrayed Lug's Harvey Cannonball, Run II 1984, cameo appearance as Private Homer Lyle. Television, The Andy Griffith Show recurring role from 1963 to 1964, as Gomer Pyle, USMC 1964 to 1969, starring role as Gomer Pyle, The Jim Nabors Hour 1969 to 1971. Variety series host and performer, The Carol Burnett Show multiple guest appearances, The Lost Saucer 1975 to 1976, starring role alongside Ruth Boozy. The Love Boat guest appearance return. Mayberry 1986 reprised role as Gomer Pyle. Jim Nabors remains an exemplar of an entertainer whose personality seemed sincere off-screen as well as on. From showing comedic expertise in a Marine Corps uniform to surprising fans with a stately baritone voice that delivered emotional ballads, Nabors appealed across generations. He mastered an approach to television that embraced small-town values while bringing comedic situations to life in ways that were always respectful and good-natured. His songs transcended genre stereotypes, attracting faithful audiences that continued to buy his albums and tune in whenever he made a cameo appearance. His success through decades of changes in the television industry shows that audiences respond to genuine kindness and real talent. For these reasons, Jim Nabors stands as a treasured figure in the history of American entertainment, one whose influence continues to be felt among those who grew up watching and listening to his one-of-a-kind performances.